Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I had a internet hiccup there. Uh,
If you watch my other videos, you might know that I work an overnight stocking shift at a big box store. And most of the night, it's just, me, my audiobooks, some boxes I'm going to put on shelves from a pallet. And that's basically what I do. But, like, for a couple hours at the beginning of the night and for an hour or so at the end of the night, customers
Boxes on a pallet built this.
are actually in the store. I've been, you know, doing retail kind of stuff my whole life. I've been talking to customers my whole life, so it's not a thing. It's just, how you doing? Could I help you? Whatever. And it's really weird. You make a little eye contact with somebody, you make a quick joke, you help them on their way, and some people are so thankful for it. I swear, sometimes people, it looks like they're going to be in tears because someone just did the common courtesy of the thing that they're getting paid to do. Like, I'm generally nice to people that I meet on the street, but I'm also paid to be nice to these people. But some people, it's like that's the only form of any type of communication they have with anybody who's being in any way nice to them for a whole goddamn week or until the next time they come back to the supermarket. This happened my whole life. I've been, like I said, doing stuff like this. I've been in these type of crappy jobs in and out. I know it's anecdotal, but it's profoundly more people now. It's it's almost like everybody, they come out of their cave for these like 5 minutes and they can't find something, so they actually have to like talk to somebody. They can't just hide in their earbuds. This type of interaction, I'm sorry, it shouldn't carry that much emotional weight. It just shouldn't. And you think about what that means for all of us. We're so completely starved of social interactions that this one little thing does so much. Obviously, we know that we're social creatures. We all always want, we want to have a block party. We want to have random encounters. We want all this stuff, but that whole infrastructure, this whole structure of community is just collapsing and it's basically gone. It's gone to the internet. No one's gonna say that they're happy that they've been doom scrolling for the last 3 hours of their life. No one's ever satisfied with that. It's like methadone. It just gives you that little, that little dopamine rush that keeps you going each day, and it doesn't give you the highs that you really want, though. It's almost like we're in a mutual hostage situation. We all just agree to like stare at our screens and just be paralyzed because we don't know what else to do. We don't want any of the real life friction. We don't want to we don't want to look stupid. We don't want to get rejected. We don't want to fail. And we've been told that, everybody gets a trophy nowadays. So it's all just in our souls at this point. And so what can you do? You can go on the internet and you can get that little dopamine hit, and you don't have to worry about the scary possible rejection that might bring you the higher joys. But that's too much. So we're just going to go hide behind our phone, and it's good enough. And the people looking to make money are obviously capitalizing off of the whole thing. They want you, they want to give you that measured amount so that you keep coming back for more, so that that's better than the failure and rejection you could find outside. But they want to keep you there because obviously if your face is in front of the screen, then they can monetize you. They can push ads in front of you and get you to buy stuff, and they can sell their, ad spots if you're reading that article and whatever. If you're outside cleaning up your yard, or you're, hanging out and having a relationship with a family member or something like that, well, they can't capitalize on that. They can't monetize that. So it's in their best interests to keep you coming back here. So they make the real world look a lot scarier than it is. They manufacture that, like, the scope of the problems that are directly, that you're directly going to be involved with. They'll magnify like incredibly distant or niche issues, or like things that are basically completely irrelevant to you, and make it look like it is relevant to you, and gives you this chronic useless stress that's just up your ass all day, and just constantly, that underlying hum of shit that you're getting from looking at all this shit. If you just step back from it for a minute, you see how stupid the entire outrage machine is. These people that never leave their house, including all of us, we sit there in front of our screen and
I leave my house. I definitely leave my house every day.
we read a thing and it makes us mad. Then we get enraged and we type something, and then someone else types something, and then we get mad at each other, and we're getting madder and madder and madder. Our face is turning red looking at this screen, and none of it matters to your normal day. I mean, how much attention do you need to pay to a Kardashian? Or even what's going on in the Gaza Strip? And I know, don't attack me for that, but for most people, there's absolutely nothing they're going to say or do that's going to affect any of it. It's just not going to happen. All the commenting and yelling and whatever that they're going to do, it's not going to amount to shit. It's all just a phantom war. The algorithm is basically serving you up all this controversy and hijacking your mind, specifically trying to keep you there, grabbing, into your nervous system, getting you to take that bait, and you think you're participating, and you think you're doing something, and you're not an activist. You're just not. You are just a battery powering the algorithm every time you get on there. That's the only thing you amount to at that point. It's a fact that we're not meant to process just the sheer amount of tragedy and grievances and political micro dramas and everything that 8 billion people are dealing with. So basically you wind up in one of two states. You're just furious and outraged, or you just have complete apathy for everything. And either way, I mean, it doesn't really matter because you're still just sitting in a chair doing nothing, really, right? But let's just say that you take the red pill.
I think you do that.
And you decide that I've had enough of this digital brain rot. I'm going to log off and I'm going to get out there and I'm going to touch that grass. So you decide, you put on your shoes, go outside, you go somewhere where people might be. You're gonna go find a partner or a new friend. Holy shit, a friend, a person that you talk to in person. And what's out there? Really, it's a ghost town. Nothing's going on. Like, I don't know. In the past, you couldn't just grab an app and see where people are. And once you see where people are, you realize you don't want to go there. It was all a mystery. You were forced to bump into people then if you wanted any kind of interaction. You couldn't just sit at home on the internet. But now, yeah, there's people at the coffee shop. There's people at the stores and in the supermarkets and everything. And that's great, but everybody's doing the same thing. Facing the phone, earbuds in, dead stare. No one's talking to anybody. No one has any interest in talking to anybody because there might be friction there. And besides, they got all their internet friends, so yeah, you go out and you're gonna go run into people, and you're not. Serendipity's dead, and you're just not gonna meet people that way. And I mean, in the end, probably most of the people that you'd ever want to actually talk to, they're all probably sitting at home, just scrolling TikTok. The only thing you could really do is you have to have an interest, like Magic the Gathering, and you're gonna go to the comic book store and you're gonna play Magic with some people. Or, maybe you go to a hardware store where they're having some kind of tutorial on how to install a door. Well, there's gonna be people there with their phones down listening, so what else can you really do? Let's not pretend like the people that have the fortitude to put the phones down and go out and touch grass and actually try to meet people. Let's not pretend like these people are all the sanest people all the time. A lot of them are technophobes, a lot of them are freaking crazy, a lot of them, are too stupid to figure out how to use a goddamn phone in the first place, and that's why they're out there. So, nothing's perfect. And that's where the friction's gonna lie a lot of the times when you put your phone down. But there's also a lot of the fun too. I mean, weird interactions definitely give your memories some flair, so that's something. But yeah, I mean, really, if you want to actually find anybody in the physical realm at this point, you do have to put in a lot more effort. You can't just bump into people anymore. But the big thing that makes it worth it is you don't, you're not just living on that methadone high anymore. So if you look at digital life, consider you look at a nice bar graph or a nice line chart, I'm sorry. So we got a nice line chart of the digital life, and it's not at the baseline where you're just shitty all the time. It's up here, and it will, give you a couple little waves or something like that, a few little waves. And if you're fine with that, you're fine with that, I guess. But in the real world, it's, you know, holy shit, crazy shit's going down, but oh my god, it's amazing, or holy shit, my wife almost died having a child, and holy shit, we had the child and the child's amazing, and now the child's sick, and then it's a much more crazy ride reality, but it's also much more interesting. Everybody's just so goddamn bored. So I always think about if, for example, you need something like a table, and you can go to IKEA and you can buy a table, and then a couple weeks later it's just another, you know, table in your house. But if you went and you bought the wood and the stain, and you know, you used the saws and hammers and nails, and you built your own table, that table would have an emotional value to you. You know, you put in the work, you put in that effort.
I don't feel that about anything that I do.
And now this thing is much more than just an object in your house. It's a piece of your history, you know? And you know, there's definitely a similarity there between, you know, that digital, you know, object of life and real life. Going back to like the manufactured outrage that they keep pouring on you, like think about just the time sink of that. Like if you took the time that it took you to read, get mad, and make your irrelevant comment. You took all that time to go pet your dog, or talk to somebody you like, or just, you know, maybe drive down to the beach or something, like gather up all those times where you made those comments and combine that time, take that hour or whatever and bring it to the beach with you. I mean, think about the opportunities lost because of all of that bullshit, irrelevant bullshit that you keep dealing with, and the stress that it keeps giving you. Something that's been really helpful for me figuring out what is bullshit and what is worth my time is 2-3 little things to think about. So first, I mean, there's a timeline test. Pretend like you know for an absolute fact that you're gonna be dead tomorrow, or dead in a week. Dead in a week is pretty good. You can even dead in a month. You know you're gonna be dead. So now that you know that that's gonna happen, does it make sense to keep reading Reddit threads anymore? Does it make sense to keep yelling about a war in another country that, yeah, you may be outraged by it, but it's also taking up all your time thinking about? Most people, the thing that whatever's going on anywhere else that they have to worry about is whatever payments they have to make on whatever, what they're going to eat. Is their laundry, you know, clean and folded? Basic shit. Did they brush their goddamn teeth? Is their wife feeling all right? Is their husband feeling all right? Is there something going on in your kid's life or your friend's life? Those things are worth looking into, but we just hide from all that shit because we're gonna start yelling at somebody about the war in Iran. But you're gonna die in 7 days. Now what are you gonna do? You gonna go talk about Iran? Or you gonna go talk to your friend? I don't know. I mean, it really does help you prioritize things, I think, if you consider that every once in a while. And obviously, you know, I've come to this a few times, but let's be explicit about it. What's the return on investment for your efforts in whatever thing that you're yelling about or commenting on?
Yeah, I feel this all the time. Like, what's my actual return of investment? Nothing. I scream all the time at the developers. Nothing happens. They get a little bit better.
Is it worth getting mad?
No, it isn't. It's not. It's not worth it. No.
On immigration, is what you're doing affecting something that's happening on the ground over there? I mean, maybe if you had the most eloquent comment ever posted on Reddit about a particular subject, that might have some effect. Yeah, most of us aren't that, okay? And most of us don't have the kind of clout as like Elon Musk or something like that to actually have an effect with our comments. And you're not getting anything from it except a headache. So what the hell is the point? What's the return on your investment in this? Why don't you invest your time? Time is valuable. We all should know this by now. This has been said forever. What's the return on investment for your time doing all this shit? Is it really worth it?
Yeah, no.
And another thing to consider is, like, look, you're not an activist. Most of you are not an activist. You're just making yourself mad for free, and you're giving somebody else value. You're giving basically your value away to somebody else. They're using you. And, you know, but the last thing I would have you consider is, okay, fine. Maybe you really do want to get involved. Maybe you do think that you can affect some kind of change. The last thing I would consider is, how many things do you think that about? Are you spreading yourself so thin that you're diluting your voice by arguing about everything, where you can really focus on something that you're passionate about and, you know, effectively advocate for that particular thing? Basically, if you don't choose your battles, you're going to lose them all. So if you really want to do something, pick something. Don't pick everything. Don't just go around spending your whole life reading about all these terrible things and getting pissed off about everything. Just hone in on it at least. And then maybe you could even, you know, once you start seeing some kind of change being affected by the things that you're doing or saying on the internet, that might actually give you some time to go out and, you know, get up and actively try to make your actual real life a little better. It's just, I keep seeing these people every day just be so happy about these minor interactions, and it just makes me think about how starving we all are for some kind of connection that we're not getting from, you know, the methadone of the internet. And it just gets me thinking about what we can do to maybe change that a little bit. And I don't know, it sucks, and I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit. But if you're here for the end of the video, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Later.
It was good. It was really good. He was right. No, he's right. Like, he's right. Sorry. What do you know about my shows?
Alright folks, look, I gotta be honest, I am heated right now. I refuse to allow Donald Trump's crimes and his corruption to go under the radar and allow him and his family to get away with it. We are seeing it on a daily basis, and it's getting worse as time goes on. In just the past couple of days, we've gotten some major stories about how the Trump family is using the Oval Office and the White House to enrich themselves, line their pockets with a bunch of cash while giving us, the American people, the middle finger. So I want to talk about these stories, all of them, in this video right now, because I think you should know about them, and they're really not getting the attention that they deserve. So let's get into it, and let's start with this. I mean, pardons have been a big part of Donald Trump's presidency so far. We've seen it time and time again. If somebody donates to his PAC, donates to a campaign that he wants, or works with his family to make them money, he will give them a pardon or just drop criminal charges or criminal investigations against these people. And now it's no different. He's using America's birthday, the 250th anniversary, to possibly justify more pardons for more people in his orbit. The White House is considering granting 250 pardons for the nation's birthday. Yes, they are actually considering this. Presidents have generally treated their pardon power like an embarrassing secret closely held among only a few trusted aides and exercised quietly in the final days of an administration. Some have signed clemency warrants just hours before boarding Marine One for their final flight, but not Donald Trump. Since returning to the White House for his second term, Trump has wielded his authority to grant clemency with abandon. He issued
yeah! It was old school. Oh! Old school. Both shots were really good. That guy was a real player, I think. And I fucking doned him. I better take this, it's just better, I think, yeah. But boy, that gun's fucking mean. He was a real player. Tempted to take that over this and put this in that. I think I probably will. Think about that. I think I'll probably, yeah, probably do that, yep. What was that? Eight down, 3 up. Oh, God damn it, no. Got him. Might win. 9 down, 2 up. I really don't want to lose. He's going to have to move. Where is this guy? Is he in the storm or what? He's in the bush? I don't see him. No! Your storm is doing too much damage! Piece of shit! Give us 10 seconds to fight the match! Stupid piece of shit cocksucker developer. What the fuck was that? The storm did me in fucking 5 seconds. Fix it, piece of shit developer. I shouldn't have to fight the storm. Fuck you, Epic. Fuck you, asshole.
Nearly 1,600 people associated with the January 6th insurrection on his first day back in office, and is publicly mused.
Fuck was that, man? Like, fuck was that? I hit him with a car on a mountain and nothing happened because you suck dick at your fucking job now.
About preemptively pardoning aides and allies because he knows they're all breaking the law. Now the White House is discussing a possible announcement of presidential pardons as a centerpiece, a main focus of the nation's semi-quincentennial celebrations over the 4th of July weekend. The idea has been described as 250 pardons for 250 years. Just out of curiosity, why would this at all be part of America's 250th anniversary celebration? Why would pardons be part of it? I mean, to be clear, Donald Trump is not looking in the direction of people who actually might warrant a pardon. Somebody whose case has been mishandled, somebody who's been mistreated by the justice system, you know, black Americans who have been incarcerated for smoking weed, for example. That might be a direction you look in if you're looking at pardons for 250 years. Donald Trump is obviously not looking in that direction. He's looking at people who are friends of his, people in his orbit, people who have donated to his campaign, voted for him, you name it. That's where he's looking. So why on earth would that be part of it? It's not really meant to be part of it. They're just using the America 250 to usher in their plans. It's a, you know, the guise of America 250 to do this. The president has not been presented with the proposal. A White House official told us, and the idea may never rise to his level, but Trump advisors are split on whether mass pardons for the anniversary of American independence would be a good idea. One advisor said there had been polling that suggested a mass pardon could benefit him. I don't know what poll they're looking at. It's certainly not the polls that we are all looking at. Advocates for the plan say it would both underscore the president's authority and reinforce an image he has long sought to cultivate: Trump the Merciful. Look, he's certainly Trump the Merciful if you donate it to him, but anybody else, you're out of luck. 5 current and former admin officials and 9 private sector lawyers, lobbyists, and other individuals with ties to Trump's orbit told us that the jockeying among those seeking clemency for past crimes has been intense. One describing it as a 3-ring circus, and a former official saying it was batshit crazy. Another one had to turn off their cell phone over the aggressive request from clients to get a pardon from Donald Trump. And again, all of these people or people connected to Donald Trump in some way which they've benefited him in the past. Now let's talk about another one. Let's go away from the pardons. What else has been going on at the White House that is corruption central? The ballroom. We are also learning just today, it's just coming out, that Trump is using a $500 million no-bid contract to build his White House ballroom. Normally, federal agencies have to go with the best deal for taxpayers. There's a competitive bidding process among companies to see which one costs the least amount so taxpayers can save money and, of course, produce a good product. Donald Trump, on the other hand, did none of that with the ballroom and went right to a company that, what do you know, is pro-Trump. Wow. I mean, it seriously just gets worse. White House officials last year secretly awarded a no-bid contract worth up to $500 million for the construction of the ballroom in an unusual arrangement that sidestepped typical contracting procedures designed to control the costs, according to a copy of the agreement obtained by the Washington Post. The White House, and here's how they did it. This is how they went through the back route. Routed the contract through the executive residence. The document shows an office that is exempt from rules that require federal agencies to solicit competitive bids and disclose details to the public. Wow. The office is typically responsible for routine repairs, entertainment expenses, and the purchase of furniture, art, and other items for the executive mansion. It is usually not responsible for building ballrooms or any major reforms to the White House because, again, it's the people's house. It's not Donald Trump's house. It's not the Trump house. It's the people's house. The confidential contract with Clark Construction, along with related correspondence and records obtained by the Post, reveal for the first time how the Trump admin bypassed norms last summer as it set the ballroom project in motion. Records also show that Donald Trump was directly involved in negotiating some costs for the project. So no, Trump is not spending his time focused on the economy and rising costs and housing and the war in Iran.
No.
He's focused on the ballroom. And the thing about all of this is, it's not just Donald Trump. It's not just only him who is making money off of pardons or awarding contracts in really suspicious ways to companies that might be on his side. It's not just him. It's his entire family. We're also getting a story from the New York Times that Trump cut a $1 billion mining deal. His sons stand to profit, as is usually the case with his sons and the way they've been making money recently, such as Don Jr. having a $650 million Pentagon contract awarded to one of the companies that he's associated with. When Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick met with Kazakhstan's president at the St. Regis Hotel last September in New York, Trump jumped in by phone as the men sealed a deal on a top priority for Washington. During the call, Trump and his team won an agreement from the Kazakhstan leader to give a little-known American company, and who do you think that little-known American company is associated with, access to one of the world's largest untapped reserves of tungsten, a metal that the United States needs for the production of missile warheads, fighter jets, computer chips, and other critical goods. Ahead of the deal, the Trump administration approved preliminary applications for as much as $1.6 billion in federal financing for the American company now called Kaz Resources, which plans to break ground on the project. It was not only Mr. Trump and Mr. Lutnick who saw an opportunity. Their sons were soon doing business with partners in a deal that their fathers were negotiating, continuing a pattern of self-enrichment in the second Trump admin that has few precedents in American history. Within weeks of the negotiations, investors with a firm called Dominary Securities, which is housed at Trump Tower in New York and partly owned by the president's two sons, joined with other partners to take a 20% stake in a corporate entity related to the Kazakhstan project. Look, I'm taking off the glasses for this one. It drives me absolutely nuts how the corruption, the crime, the self-enrichment is out in the open. It's not even like we have to guess on this stuff. It's not like you and I are sitting here and saying, well, maybe there's something taking place behind the scenes, but we can't say for certain. We can say for certain. We can absolutely say for certain that this administration has used their proximity to power, whether it be Trump himself or his family members, to make money. And they're doing it every single day. It's never enough. They've already made how many billions of dollars off the White House? They want to make more. They want to make more, and they are working with Trump on deals that he strikes to make that money. Like, genuinely, I am... My God, I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. Around the same time, Cantor Fitzgerald, an investment company controlled by Lutnick's family and overseen by his son Brandon, helped one of the lead investors working with Dominary on the Kazakhstan deal raise $210 million in new capital for a related entity. Such rounds of fundraising typically net Cantor millions of dollars in fees. It's so blatant and it's so disgusting. And all of this is taking place while Americans are struggling. Consumer sentiment jumped a little bit, but it's still sluggish. And Donald Trump, meanwhile, is saying that he loves the inflation as prices rise in the fastest rate in 3 years recently. That's the Trump administration for you folks. I will leave the video there before I start ranting even more. I don't think you need to hear it. I don't think you need to hear me going off for, 10 minutes.
I don't. We know how disgusting they are.
And what if I told you a bunch of Canadian kids in baggy pants accidentally started a Civil War documentary, got shot at, and had to be rescued by a UN peacekeeper who ended up on their album cover, and that their front man was allegedly being systematically groomed and abused by the manager while the band was selling millions of records and winning awards, and that the same singer drank himself so close to the grave that doctors told him one single beer would literally take him out. Here's how Sum 41 went from punk rock heroes to walking disasters and back again. So you got these two enterprising kids. They got some pretty big goals, and they're going to form a band. 1996, Ajax, Ontario, Derek Whibley and Steve Yacht, and they just named the band Casper with a K, and they keep on playing. They bring in this guitarist, Dave Baksh, who they call the Brown Sound, and they're doing a local circuit. September 28th rolls around, they're booked for the Supernova show, and they realize that Casper is a dumb name. So they had to change their name pretty quick. Well, they count back, and they realize that it's the 41st day of summer, Sum 41. Matt Folks is the level of creativity we're dealing with here in those early days. They got this bass player, Richard Roy, goes by Twitch, totally lives up to the name. Go out on the first tour in New Brunswick. While they're driving the van, Twitch gets broadsided by another car. Total destruction. Almost dies. He's like, I can't take this. He's out of the band. Can't blame him. So now they're scrambling. They record this demo, but they're starting to get pretty hip to the naming thing, because it's called Rock Out With Your Cock Out. And this is the only thing that exists with Richard Roy on it. So it's probably a collector's item now. But at the time, it was just four crazy dudes trying to get lucky. But then it starts getting dark. Around this time, they meet this guy, Greg Norrie. Norrie's in a band called Trouble Charger and decides he wants to manage Sum 41. According to Derek, this is the moment the devil walks into the room. And at this point, Whibley's 16, Norrie's 35. Norrie becomes their manager, the producer, the mentor. And according to Whibley, this is the start of years of psychological abuse and SA. But at least for a bit there, late 90s, they all just think they got a guy who knows the business. And they're grinding. Put out this half-hour EP called Half Hour of Power in 2000. It's got this song, Makes No Difference. Catchy enough that Island Records notices them to give them a deal. And the EP hits the Billboard charts at 176. Not exactly the Beatles, but a pretty damn good start. They're building up buzz and playing shows. They're young, but yet they're completely
I think that guy was real. He had all the ammo in the match.
out of their depth. And the whole time, Norrie's pulling the strings, turning Derek into a star while allegedly messing with his head in the worst ways possible. The powder keg waiting for a spark. So then they dropped their first real album, May 2001, all killer, no filler. And it is a freaking monster. Number 9 in Canada, hits number 13 in the US, goes platinum everywhere. Couldn't turn on MTV or much music without seeing these guys everywhere. And the single, Fat Lip, just takes off. I know my guitar students lined up to learn that song. I knew it friggin' cold by the time I was done. And that one hits number 1 on the modern rock tracks. Now Sum 41 is basically the biggest pop band on the planet alongside Blink-182, doing the Warped Tour, touring with the big dogs, and with the money comes the ego and the weird humor. They create this alter ego band called Pain for Pleasure, dress up like 80s metalheads and make fun of the genre. Derek puts on a wig and calls himself Gunner, plays the drums. Fans totally eat it up. They're selling out arenas, making tons of money, and acting like total jackasses, and loving it. They record a song called ANIC, which stands for Anna Nicole is a... You figure out the rest. YouTube doesn't like that. Think of it as something like next Tuesday, I'll see you. In so many words. And they used to dedicate it to her at shows like it was love song. And underneath the party vibe, things are getting messy. Derek writes his song No Brains, says it's the big middle finger to their original singer they had before things got really going. They had a massive falling out. So while they're celebrating platinum records, hanging out with Ozzy for the Hellsong video, where they depicted everybody as dolls, Derek's carrying around all this anger. And the Pain for Pleasure stuff, total outlet for the chaos. In 2001 alone, they play over 300 shows. It's a whole hell of a lot of playing. Norrie's right in the middle of it, controlling the narrative. During all of this, the alleged abuse was going on. And also, Derek's got this guy just telling him what to do, how to act. Total control. The world sees the Fat Lips video, but they don't see the dude in the hotel room losing his mind. 2 years later, 2002, they put up Desert Look Infection. Totally fits their state of mind. Cover art is just a picture of Steve made up to look like a zombie. By this time now, they're friggin' burned out. I mean, you figure, you're touring crazy like that, you've got all that pressure, plus whatever else was going on, and it's gonna wear on you. But the album still hits hard. Goes platinum in Canada, gold in the US. Singles like Still Waiting, The Hell Song were all over the radio. Derek can't even stand the way the album sounds. Says the demo he made in his basement sounded better than the final mix. And it's a whole hell of a lot darker. War themes and hatred. A huge pivot from Fat Lip. And it's not just for the show. They decided they want to do something real. Be taken seriously. So in May of 2004, they hook up with this charity, War Child Canada, and decide to go to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They think about it. They're a pop-punk band from Canada. Write songs about drinking, being lazy. Decide to go to one of the most dangerous war zones around to document the Civil War. Just a recipe for disaster. They get there, and the fighting is not something that's on the news. It's outside their hotel. Bullets flying. Total war zone. People taken out left and right. And the band's trapped in their hotel while this full-blown battle erupts in the streets. Just hid away in the rooms, terrified. And finally, the UN peacekeepers come and get them out. And the guy in charge of the evacuation, Charles Chuck Pelletier, literally saves their lives. Gets them into an armored vehicle, gets them the hell out of Dodge. And it turns out to be a real big life changer. I mean, how the hell you go back to singing about pizza after you've been nearly taken out in Africa? You don't. So they go back to the studio, decide to name their next album after the guy who saved them. And that's how we got to Chuck. And Chuck comes out in October 2004, goes to number 2 in Canada, number 10 in the US. Got We're All to Blame, Pieces. The band's more mature now, but they're starting to fracture. Dave Bax, the guitarist, Brown Sound, he's out. He's had enough. May of 2006, he announces that he's leaving. Says he wants to play classic metal and starts a band called Brown Brigade. Cites creative differences, which is basically, I'm just tired of this crap. Derek's response, cold. It's like, fine, I'll get a replacement, but he won't be a member. He'll just be a functional guy who plays the guitar. So Tom Thacker comes in to tour, but the soul of the band is leaking out. But they keep going. They start working on this album, Underclass Hero, bringing Ross Cavallo, he's the producer who did Green Day, My Chemical Romance. Cavallo actually had to ghost produce parts of this album because he was contractually tied to a rival label. Total mess behind the scenes. Derek's also developed this expensive habit of buying vintage guitars just to write songs. A lot of cash. But the thing is, he's saying that a lot of these tunes are like forced and distracted. Says it's unoriginal, sounds like stuff he did before. And the drama just keeps going. They put out the song March of the Dogs. Lyrics are definitely not subtle. 2007, W is president. Derek starts singing about dragging his body through the dirt. Turns out the government actually doesn't find it too awfully amusing. They threatened to deport Derek, so now he's dealing with that. And then physical disaster strikes. We're on tour in November 2007. Derek, who's not exactly an athlete, does something incredibly ill-advised. He's on stage and decides to sit down abruptly on Steve's drum kit and plops down. Boom, herniated disc. Back goes out, he can't move. So they cancel the whole Strength in Numbers tour. Lying in bed, popping a ton of painkillers. Staring at the ceiling while his career seems like it's imploding. And the manager, Nori, he's gone in 2005, but the damage is done. Derek's a mess. The band's a mess. Underclass Hero goes to number 1 in Canada, but it's a hollow victory. Steve Yacht later says it's his least favorite album. So now they're limping into 2010. What about Screaming Bloody Murder in 2011? Happy, dark. You even get a Grammy nomination for Blood in My Eyes, which is surprising because nobody thinks of Sum 41 as a hard rock metal Grammy band. But still, they pulled it off, but the momentum is gone. 2013, the other shoe drops. Steve Yacht, the guy who co-founded the band with Derek in high school, walked away. He's out. That's the end of the original lineup. Core is gone. Derek's alone.
It's the last guy. Wish me luck. Big fight. Gotta get all the guns in the mags. He's like right here. use this fucking guy. Alright, I'll take it down. Got him! Yeah! I got his ass. Yeah, 3 wins, baby.
Does what a lot of lonely rock stars do when they're alone. Drinks and drinks and drinks.
Drinks
And
and
by
drinks.
May of 2014, his body finally says no more. Collapses. Rushed to the hospital. Liver is failing. Kidneys are failing. I mean, this is what took Alexei Leo out, who I had covered in depth a while back. And it's a terrible way to be. Doctors look at him and tell him the truth. If you have one drink, you're done. Some people will probably take it as a metaphor. Oh, well, maybe it's not exactly one drink. Maybe he could have a 6-pack or a 12-pack. Maybe he could have 6 packs over the next 3 months every day. But with a warning like that from the doctors telling him that, you know it's pretty freaking dire. He spends weeks in the hospital barely clinging to life. It's a wake-up call, obviously. Got to relearn how to be a human being without being wasted. Spends the next year just trying to survive. Band's on hiatus. Everybody's assuming, well, that's it for Sum 41. They're done. They had a good run, made some cash. Lead singer drank himself into an early grave. Classic rock and roll story. But then weirdly, he starts putting the pieces back together. 2015, gets a new drummer, Frank Zumo. Then out of nowhere, Dave comes back. Brown sound. The guy who quit to play heavy metal decides, all right, I'm going to come back into this pop-punk band, a reunion that nobody saw coming. And they start writing again. Signed to Hopeless Records. 2016, they dropped 13 Voices. And you got that survival vibe, anger vibe. Derek's sober and angry. Still got the back pain and the trauma, but he's alive. The album does well. Goes double gold in Europe. Followed up with Order in Decline in 2019. Real aggressive political album. Feels like they got something to prove again. Playing big shows and touring the world. Looks like a redemption arc. Then Greg Norrie comes back to haunt them in the worst way possible. 2024, Derek releases memoir, Walking Disaster. And in it, he opens up about the whole story with Norrie. Went into detail on the grooming and the essay. Said he was 16 and Norrie was 35. Talks about how it took him years to realize that the
What's wrong with these people?
relationship was not mentoring. It was pure manipulation.
No, it's just...
And Norrie flat out denies all the allegations. He sues Derek and the publisher. Once there was $6 million in damages for libel and intrusion upon seclusion, he says Derek is putting him in a false light. Derek doesn't back down. He countersues for $3 million. Says, I hope it goes to court. Love to see him under oath. Totally messy, public, ugly legal war happening as the band's trying to wrap things up. And then the physical bad luck strikes again. They announced in May 2023 that this is it. They're breaking up. One last album, one last tour. In September, right as they're dropping the first single, Landmines, Derek ends up in the hospital again. This time it's heart failure and pneumonia. Guy cannot catch a break, but he's just trudging along, and he ends up recovering, bound to push forward. And they released the final album, Heaven X Hell, March of 2024. 2 sides of a coin. One side is pop-punk, the other side is metal. Nice bookend to a career that always swung between the 2 poles. They embark on the tour of the Setting Sun, over 110 concerts. Final goodbye. Do the last show ever in Ontario in January 2025. And then to put a bow on the whole Canadian thing, they get inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame March 30th, 2025. Last appearance
They weren't that good.
during the 54th Annual Juno Awards.
For Canada, they were.
Dropped their final video for the song Radio Silence on April 1st, 2025. And that is it. No more Sum 41. This is the story.
I remember this band. They dominated the airwaves for a
of
while. Wait, Oh, I have to play again? I won, though. Oh, I'm going to play one more.
Slash. More than just a guitar player, he's the renaissance man of hard rock. Fans can't keep their hands off of him. He has managed to endure a career alongside one of the most unstable vocalists in rock and roll history. He's been ripped off by record labels and even had an ex-wife threaten to put a mob hit on him if he ended up cheating. He has worked to lay down tasty guitar solos only to have them get drowned out by the drummer's girlfriend having a good time in the vocal booth with the singer. It's no wonder that over time he's become slap happy. But one thing is for sure, Slash is one of the most popular and most in-demand guitar players in the music business today.
Like, subscribe. Thank you.
Saul Hudson was born July 23rd,
Saul
1965 in London, but raised in Stoke-on-Trent until age 6. Then he moved to LA. Slash sometimes went to work with his mom and rubbed elbows with a few top film and music stars. Actor Seymour Castle gave him the nickname Slash because he was always zipping around in a hurry. Now, at 14, Slash had a life-changing experience. He was trying to hook up with an older girl. She finally invited him over. They smoked pot and listened to some Aerosmith, and it blew Slash's mind. He kept replaying the album and totally ignored the girl. Riding his bike home, he knew that his life had changed. Now he had something that he could actually identify with. In '79, Slash decided to form a band with his friend,
Aerosmith.
Steven Adler, who would later become the drummer for Guns N' Roses. It never materialized, but it prompted Slash to take up an instrument. At the time, Steven Adler had claimed the guitar, so Slash ended up choosing the bass. But at his first lesson, the teacher played Brown Sugar by the Stones. Slash was dumbfounded, and at that point he just quickly switched over to the guitar. His first guitar was a one-string flamenco guitar that his grandma had given him, and he started taking lessons.
Oh, I got one of them. Sorry, hamster taxi. That's not it.
Practicing up to 12 hours a day on that old beat-up pawn shop special. Slash put aside his BMX bike to focus on the guitar. He went to Beverly Hills High School with Lenny Kravitz and Zorro. Learning Come Dancing by Jeff Beck, his biggest influence was a defining moment. Slash described the feeling as fucking awesome. In 1981, Slash joined his first band, Titus Sloan. And from the early demos of this group, Slash already had his style together.
Nope.
He'd later refine his tone. In '83, Slash and Steven Adler got together and formed Road Crew, which they named after the Motorhead song, We Are the Road Crew. This was after a failed attempt to join a local band called London. Steven Adler gave up the guitar spot to Slash and got behind the kit. And Duff McKagan, who had become GNR's bassist, answered an ad they had put in a
Just
Recycler
say Guns N' Roses. It's not that hard to say.
magazine and joined the lineup. The demos for this particular lineup show Slash's metal side. The recordings and the performances on them were pretty rough around the edges. It's a wonder that by the mid-'80s, Slash and Steven would really have their sound carved out.
Nope.
Axl Rose and Izzy Stradlin. Hollywood Rose turned out to be the precursor for Guns N' Roses. And Slash and Izzy made a great guitar dual assault team. Axl's signature wail was on full display, and by this point, Steven Adler had actually improved greatly on the drum. The song Anything Goes, which was featured on Appetite for Destruction, was written during this time as well.
Do DMCA. No! What? I was dead instantly. I took my hand off the mouse. I was dead.
And now she graces the cover of the new Playboy magazine and stars in her very
This might be DMCA. I'm gonna get off it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Fitzy 76 report. Bethesda has delayed testing for the native Xbox Series XS and PlayStation 5 versions of the Fallout 76. Meat Week is officially underway, and I finally spent some time running the Gauss minigun build. And the community has been busy discussing everything from weapon builds to future camp decorations. Here's what's happening across Appalachia. If you enjoy these community reports, consider subscribing, and let's jump right into it. So let's start with today's biggest news. Bethesda announced that testing for the native Xbox Series XS and PlayStation 5 versions of Fallout 76 has been delayed. The team says they need more time preparing the testing environment before players
That looks so bad.
Good evening. I'm Chris Handsome, and tonight Nuka 182
No, you aren't.
sets up a sting operation and goes undercover, takes his cameras inside Angry Turtle's live stream, and catches him red-handed, hitting a unsuspecting casual with a paywall.
Oh, there is super chat. I will read in a moment, but I don't want to die here, so I cannot read now. If I will start reading, I will not be looking at my health, and because I'm blooded beard, it is possible to die. Now the super chat. So Norseman, thank you first for super chat. Thank you for 249 money units.
We're going to stop right there. Okay. 249 Norwegian krona is 25 US dollars.
Bye. Do we just sub to this guy? I don't want to sub to this guy. Nope. I don't want to sub to this guy. Bye. Okay,
Hey, it's me again. Hey. Um, I'm back. I'm back with another yap sesh. And honestly, I've been thinking about this for like a hot sec. And when I say a hot sec, I mean a couple weeks. But I, like, ever since I made that last video, I just have been like, ooh, I could just keep doing this, you know? Like, I could genuinely just like start a little like, wow, my hair is just like going straight into my eye. Like a little podcast video essay, you know, like thing for you guys.
Throughout the 2000s to the 2010s, right, a new blood entered the world of work. Millennials. After growing up watching TV films like Fight Club, Office Space,
workaholics.
The Office, millennials had been traumatized, right? They didn't want to grow into that. They wanted to go to work and play ping pong for an hour, take a slide down to the free food buffet, then get a massage from the office masseuse. Who wants to be an executive insurance liaison middle manager when you could be a hot boy YouTuber? Maybe you don't want to be a media personality. Well, no problem. You could run a cool hip startup. For this generation, it really did feel like your childhood dream job was within grasp. But then, something happened.
You know, you'd get depressed, you'd get sad.
You know, I'm miserable a lot of times. I have a mental breakdown every other week because I push myself so hard.
The 6-day work week trend gains steam. The 996 culture may be taking root in the US. If you don't know what 996 is, that's when you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week.
It really felt
6 days, try 7, bitch.
We were so close to changing work. So what happened? Where did the dream jobs go?
The anxiety you're talking about, and even like patches of depression, which is crazy because like bro,
more like 9, 6, 7, bitch.
My life, I'm not
6, 7.
Res.
If you go online and you read a couple of surveys and some articles, you might find out that your boy right here, a YouTuber, apparently I have a dream job. Now look, I'm going to be serious. It's a good job. Like, I enjoy it. I do it because it was my dream job when I was a young gangster, you know, trapping out in the bits. And I wanted to put that gangster life behind me and turn into a full-time fudging YouTuber. Seeing how many blue foods I can eat in 24 hours.
This literally smells like a blue creamsicle.
Whilst there's always been dream jobs, like my dad wanted to be a footballer, the difference is that in the past,
my dad wanted to be a
feel
footballer.
Accessible. It didn't feel like you could realistically, you know, if you grew up in Wigan, I don't think they send people to space there. So I'm going to say it's not likely you're going to be an astronaut, Billy. But YouTube changed this, right? And it really began with one key individual, one weird Swedish kid. PewDiePie, we all watched him playing these games that, again, there was clearly no budget that went into it. They were literally browser games on some shitty little camera in his bedroom. But what happened, right, is whilst we were watching him, no one really knew how much he was making. But then reports started coming out saying that he was making millions. And suddenly, just like that, PewDiePie had created the dream job. But I think there's two other people that are arguably more important, and that is Logan Paul and Jake Paul.
Hey yo, good morning, little gang. What's poppin'? Well, welcome home, Jake Paulers.
And I wanna, before we say anything else, I want us to just analyze one video posted in 2017 by Logan Paul called "I Bought Me a House."
Great, I'm also with the man and manager, Jeff. Yeah. I spent $12,000 yesterday on Gucci clothes. Also, one of the rings I bought yesterday, I lost, as you guys know. Lost it at the premiere for my movie, King Batch's movie.
The video starts and he tells us he's with his manager. He then tells us that he just spent $12,000 on Gucci. Also, he lost his favorite expensive ring. And bearing in mind, all of this has happened and we're 1 minute 30 into the video. We haven't even talked about the house he's about to buy. But it's at about 2 minutes where Logan does something I think is very, very, very important. Logan turns to the camera, you, 9-year-old viewer, and he says,
Just a boy from Ohio who moved to Los Angeles to pursue his dream, who didn't listen to the haters, who didn't listen to the people who said you couldn't make money and actually make a career out of making videos on the internet. When you watch this and when you watch my vlogs in general, you guys get inspired and motivated and work hard so that one day you can buy a house for your wife, your friend.
You see, what Logan Paul and Jake Paul were doing was a kind of propaganda, right? They were like the perfect salesman. I hope that YouTube, I know they rewarded them, but I hope they understand just how much Logan did for them. They were selling the lifestyle of being a YouTuber. Like, they built their own brands around that, particularly Logan, right? Logan had this additional gift. Not only he didn't give a single flying fuck about any social norm, but he would also be able to do like these emotional diatribes where he would look at the camera and cry and say, "Hi, I'm just a boy from Ohio." To take a step back, this is kind of fucked up what he's doing. You know, as us lot watching YouTube, seeing him tell his story and witnessing part of the content was following his life improving. You could see it and how his life was getting better and he was earning a load of money. And when he's telling you you can do it too, I think there's a sense that you might start believing him.
I wanted it, and I worked hard, and I believed in myself, and I kept pushing and pushing and pushing to make
You got
that
lucky.
happen. Living a life of my dreams. If you believe in yourself, if you can expand your brain and think outside of the box, and you can do whatever the fuck you want, bro. Be a maverick, baby.
And it's not just Logan, right? It was this whole wave of flex
His
content
brother.
creators, Rice Gum, Team 10, all of these lot. They were selling the lifestyle. They were propagandizing being a YouTuber. And the thing that really stands it out from in the past is how accessible it felt, because many of these guys and girls, they grew up doing things that we did. You would see a lot of the guys who were playing, they were gamers, and you would see them go from their parents' basement to becoming celebrities with mansions and their own gaming room. And oh my God, look how cool it is. They got Pokemon carpets and shit, LEDs. In the past, whilst everyone always, you know, aspiration was always sold to people, and people, you know, they liked the idea of getting rich and famous. Everyone knew that to become a celebrity, you need to move to LA, to Hollywood, you need to go to auditions, you need to get scouted. YouTube changed that completely. It broke down the wall, it democratized fame, and now a gold rush would begin.
1 million subscribers! Oh my God! Oh my God, I reached it! Oh my God!
So, okay, so whilst this is all happening on the platforms, you're seeing these young people go from rags to riches, you have to also think about what was happening behind the scenes. The tech boom of the 2010s mirrors perfectly the story.
This is fun, but I can't do 40 minutes of this. So I'm going to bed. It's 2:32 in the morning. So thank you so much for your time, guys. It looks like my whole website thing closed, which is so shitty. But anyways, we're gonna go back and yes. So here we go. I'm gonna stop this video with a reminder. You've been watching Skycatlive. I'm a full-time variety gamer, all day, every day. Put me on the background. Click on the cast face, donate. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or a follow. And I'm going to go to bed now. It's 2:32 in the morning, and tomorrow I play Eve Online, or sorry, Mortal and Eve and FFXI like all day. I'm sorry, no, in the afternoon I have physical therapy for my broken arm. But after that I'll be on all day pretty much. So I will see you tomorrow, guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time. See you later. I'm gonna stop this recording, and I'm going to